All right, everybody. Good morning once again. It's time for phase two of my dream Seattle Seahawks offseason. Already cleared space, already got to about 76 million with the promise of another 10 or so million coming, possibly 24 million coming. And I didn't do anything that I would consider to be all that crazy. I didn't. Maybe you disagree, but I don't think I got too crazy. So, now that we've cleared space, we're going to start re-signing some of our outgoing free agents, and we're going to want to keep a decent chunk of these guys. There are definitely some guys we have outgoing that we don't need to be bringing back, but we're going to go ahead and go over the guys that I want to bring back. And this is stuff that I talked about a lot in my How Much to Keep series, but let's go ahead and put it all together in a nice list. I know you guys like that. And as we go through, we will be updating the roster. So, first, I am re-signing Gerald Everett. It's not a huge deal if we don't, because there are a lot of tight ends in free agency, but Everett has familiarity with Wilson now, familiarity in this system, and honestly, if Wilson did not get hurt last year, I think he's going for at least 60 catches and 600 yards, and we're feeling a little differently about him than we are right now. I say 3 years, 23 million. It might be less because the tight end market is so good, but I'm putting about $5 million of that cap hit into the first year. So that's taken $5 million off the cap, pushing it down to about $71 million. All right, so we are going to go ahead here. We are going to bump them over. We're going to add G. Everett to the tight end list. All right. Okay, next up, we are bringing back Ethan Pocic. I say 2 years, $8 million. We need a backup center, and Pocic would probably be one of the best backup centers in the league. I know you guys don't like him, but as a backup, he can do the thing. I say 2 years, $8 million. It wouldn't surprise me if it was a little bit less because his reputation is not good. But if you look at the way he's been playing, I think he's probably worth about that. First year cap hit, $3 million. So it's 3.5. And by the way, you may notice I'm not using any void years. No void years whatsoever. So I'm not doing anything extravagant here. But honestly, the team probably should open themselves up to using void years if need be. So you could even get a little crunchier than what I'm doing right here. So anyway, that takes us down to about 68.1 million in cap space. So let's go ahead and add E. Pocic to the chart. And next up, we've got Rashad Penny. 2 years, 9 million, 3.25 million cap hit that first year gets us down to about 60, just under 65 million. All right, let's throw them on here. There we go. Okay, after Rashad Penny, we are going with Sidney Jones. I really want to bring him back. Really excited about what he did for us last year, and I don't think it's going to cost too much. I say 2 years, 10 million. Wouldn't shock me if it was 3 for 15, but I don't think there's a huge difference from my perspective. I say first year cap hit 3.5. You could make it a little less if you wanted to. Again, you could throw $1 million void year at the end. Who's going to care about $1 million in 2024 or 2025? It don't matter at all. Gets us down to about 61.3 million. All right, so we're going to throw Sidney Jones onto the list here. In reality, he'll be the starter ahead of Brown and Jackson at this point in time, but we'll just throw him on there for now. That's fine. And then we have Ryan Neal, another cheap cornerback. He played okay last year, but he's clearly better at cornerback than he is as a safety. So he didn't exactly expose himself as being an NFL level starter, but I do think he's an NFL level backup, like a dime corner who can play 15 to 20, maybe 20 snaps a game. I prefer like 15. 1 year, 1.4 million. That should be fine. And that gets you down to just below 60 million. So we're going to throw Ryan Neal onto the fire here. And the roster is starting to round out a little bit here. Okay, next up we have Blessuan Austin, a restricted free agent, but I don't feel the need to give him the tender because I don't think there's going to be a big demand out there for him. Blessuan Austin, the minimum offer you can make is 965 grand. I'm offering him that, and I'm trying to bring him back because I don't know what my cornerback depth situation is going to be like when the season starts. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him back. I'm bringing in Blessuan Austin into the cornerback room for less than $1 million. The price is right. Bryan Mone, I'm doing the same thing. He's an RFA. You could tender him, but I don't think you should need to. He's not a high-profile player. So I am not tendering him. I'm going to offer him the veteran minimum, maybe a little bit more, but I don't know if there's any demand for a Bryan Mone out there, so I'm giving him 1 year, 965 grand, taking me down to about $58 million in cap space. And I'm getting myself a tackle to replace Hewitt. So Hewitt goes down to the practice squad, and we get ourselves Bryan Mone here. All right. Next up, we have Penny Hart. I would bring him back just because it seems like the team likes him. It seems like Wilson likes him. There might be a little something here. So I think I am going to bring back Penny Hart, and I'm going to let him duke it out with guys like Kay Johnson and Aaron Fuller for the fifth receiver spot at 825 grand. So for the moment, just because this is the way things have been typically going, we're going to go ahead and bump Kay Johnson down to the practice squad, and we're going to throw in Penny Hart here. Okay, to wrap things up, we are going to go with John Reed. We're going to bring him back at 900 grand for the year, get us down to about 56.3 million in remaining cap space. We're being frugal, man. We're being cheap. None of these guys are going to be super expensive. Everett is by far the biggest deal here. So John Reed, he becomes the nickel corner starting for the moment. Hopefully we can do something about that down the line. I had to move off of Ugo because the money it didn't feel right to me, especially when you can avoid so much of it by just letting him go. But I am, however, going to add John Reed to the nickel cornerback list. Will Dissly, I'm bringing him back. Not a big deal if you don't, but I think he likes it here. I think I like him here. He's a decent blocker, got good hands, catches a pass and a half a game. I think he's all right. I'll bring him back for 1.75 million. 1 year, 1.75. Gets me down to just over 54.5 million. All right. And this also allows us to move Tyler Mabry to the practice squad, where he most likely will end up when the season actually starts. Let's bump that over a little bit here. And then we have Phil Haynes. Finally, we are bringing back Phil Haynes. I'm willing to go beyond the vet minimum, but I don't think you're going to need it because Phil Haynes doesn't play that much. Maybe you have to go to like 1.4 or something, but until I see some reason to believe that he's going to need more than the minimum, I'm going to give him the minimum. So Phil Haynes becomes the primary backup left guard and the primary backup right guard for the moment. So Phil Haynes slides in there. And yeah, that takes care of all the re-signings I want to do. And real quick here, while we're here, I'm going to bump Jordan Brooks from the Will to the Mike because that's where I want him. I'm going to bump Cody Barton from the Sam to the Will because that's where I want him. And I guess Aaron Donkor gets to be the nominal Sam for the moment. We all know that Mayo will probably fill that role when the season actually starts. And it's starting to come together. We still have some work to do. We still definitely have some work to do. But we now have 47 roster spots filled, and we still have 10 practice squad slots open. We need a kicker. We need some defensive back depth. We probably need a better Sam linebacker. Maybe, well, not maybe. We definitely need some more offensive line help. Need another running back. Need a real backup quarterback. But hey, I think this is coming together. And after all these re-signings are up, I still have $53.5 million to play with. So that leaves plenty for the actual open free agency period. And it also leaves enough to bring in back a guy like a DJ Reed or a Quandre Diggs if you really want to. We'll talk more about that later, but for now I'm going to get out of here. Peace out, go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below of this dream off season.